My fellow councilors, kindly raise your right hand and together we recite the councilor's creed. I am a Philippine councilor, mandated by law to enact measures and ordinances as the guiding principle of my official act, and as I treat the pathways of local legislations. May the Almighty
Mejia, Honorable John Foscablo, Honorable Presiding Officer. So at this moment, there are 6 members. Honorable Darlene Lama, Honorable Maria Chenan Mejia, Honorable Mariblight Cartojanong Garingo. But as regards Honorable Garingo, Your Honor, Foscablo is on official leave, Your Honor. However, Honorable Maria Chenan Mejia are absent, Your Honor. There are 7.
So the chair recognizes the 7 members present, including this representation, so quorum is declared. So let's proceed.
And January 20, 2025.
Minutes dated January 13, 2025. I move for its adoption.
Okay, so the minutes of our regular session held on January 13, 2025. Ito 10 tong pag-assume ko. Tama.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Secretary.
Your Honor, we are now on the privilege hour, Your Honor.
Okay, so any member would like to render privilege speech. Honorable Moises Dular is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning to each and everyone. So the 10 by 20 square meters for the mini gym.
Purok Masagana 1, Kalawag 2. Any more member?
Each and everyone.
Good morning.
Sa solely based number 2, Mindanao. 1, the economic dynamism. Number 5, innovation. The municipality, I'd like to congratulate our municipal mayor, Honorable.
Granted that award.
The CMCI.
Audit.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
The committee of the Sun to 2020 SKSU,
Not the COA.
no CC, as the secretariat, and CC as the secretariat, and I think for every municipality, I think for for every municipality or city in the or local structures to let this make more improvement for some. But the CMCI is taking I think the whole organization. I think the whole organization is called National Competitive. But for the regional level,
Okay. So your request, Honorable, of municipalities in Mindanao.
Mr. Chair, this comes from the 5 pillars. And as per statement from Honorable Dalanon, for the regional level. And how are
this data sheet that they are for, I think, for economic dynamism.
follow-up question, Mr. Chair? Like, wherein the evaluators personally visit our place to how LG, wherein we were interviewed by
Your question is addressed to whom,
Honorable Dalanon.
I think for economic dynamism, if I am not mistaken, establishment in the municipality, and I think all government agencies within the locality, and already filled up by the surveyor. The criteria, and in every criteria we're meant in that part, so that maybe someday we can be number 1.
Okay. So anyway, congratulations to
Yes, Mr.
Honorable
Chair.
Argent. Yeah.
I have here sa website ng CMCI with DTI. Pero ito siya, Mr. Chair, is the overall ranking for the 2023 first to second class municipalities sa whole Philippines. So in Mindanao, we are ranked number 2, but in the whole Philippines, ISULAN is ranked number 10. So they have the ranking for economic dynamism. Nakalagay din dito rank and score, resiliency rank and score sa website.
If I will read, no, CMCI stands for Citizenness. The CMCI was developed by the National Competitiveness Council with the help of United States Agency or the USAID. It is only one of the this CMCI is only one of the, and I think first these big cities is also different.
Ang ano lang naman natin dito sa award is based on the what. This is solely from the CMCI as stated dyan sa ano naman po, sa caption.
Mr. Chair, yes, but if we can check where is our
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
So that's the point of Honorable Dalanon. Yes, Honorable.
Just a congratulations for what the job well done by the local government of Isulan. Regardless of kung sino ang nag-survey, sino ang components sina or ang involved of the or agencies nga nagsali for this evaluation, Mr. Chair. Just for us to congratulate the LGU Isulan for the recognition or award or ano man mahatag sang according to the CMC.
So anyway, the point of every member is clear. So, still uh, uh, a point worthy of congratulations uh, to LGU ISULAN, no, for uh, uh, just uh, just below the municipality of Mitsayap. Okay. So, other matter on privilege. So, if there's none, then let's.
Mr. Chair, as per information, since last week or last week, may ara sa nga or atong mga comments sa public market atong mga garbage naton or mga basura naton nga wala na collect, because accordingly our garbage trucks wala sang fuel, and the same is true with the Office of the Sangguniang Bayan. Some matters to settle. We would like to be clarified, Mr. Chair, as to the status at present of our vehicles in the local government. We have dump trucks, heavy equipments nga kinahanglan sa mga barangays naton, no, to repair the roads, para maghakot sa mga basura sa public markets and sa mga barangays naton. We would like to ask Mr. Chair sang fuel, Mr. Chairman.
Kumusta ang status?
Status, Mr. Chair,
Sa aton mga
salakyan.
Ah,
Fuel,
Mr. Chair,
Dala,
to add
dala.
to the statement
do
of...
gusto ko na ma-clear ang question ni Honorable Apiado.
Sige,
Ang
may da.
because
Hindi.
accordingly, the Menro said nga wala sila sang fuel. That's why they failed to collect the garbage sa
Okay.
public market.
Okay. So, the best person to answer that is our Menro.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, are you suggesting to call our Menro?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So,
Follow up lang dun sa statement ni Honorable Carlo Apiado about our fuel consumption. Prioritize the red plate. So, paano po kami yung mga honorables na walang red plate?
Of the record, Mr. Chair.
So we are now in the first reading. The first item is letter received from Sophia Cheo Construction and Supplies Corporation dated January 17, 2025, addressed to Mrs. May Barrera, Municipal Treasurer, and Gina Toledo, HRMO, of this LGU. Copy furnished the Sangguniang Bayan of ISULAN, the Civil Service Commission, and the Anti-Red Tape Authority.
So the letter is addressed to May
Mrs.
Barrera.
Barrera. And item number 2, letter received from the Office of the Municipal Treasurer dated January 20, 2025, addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Atilano and Felaguda of the Sophia Geo Construction and Supply Corporation. And the said letter is copy furnished the Office of the Vice Mayor, the Civil Service Commission, Regional Office 12, Regional RTA or Red Tape Act, Regional Office 12, and the HRMO ISULAN.
Kaya lang. That is another letter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Item 2.
This is addressed to, I think this is a reply from
Received from the Office of the Municipal Treasurer, addressed to
Mr. and Mrs. Lagoda,
so
Your
there is
Honor.
already a reply, and the reply is copy furnished this office.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
First two letters under first 2025 addressed to Mrs. Barrera and Mrs. Toledo. And this is also copy furnished the Office of the Sangguniang Bayan, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. But the Sangguniang Bayan office is only copy furnished, Your
also.
Honor.
Okay, so for information.
It's LG, Your Honor.
So what is the letter?
Your Honor, first furnishing you a copy of the order dated January 17, 2025 from Plenatory for your information and guidance. So
Okay,
this is
so the letter contained
yes,
the stay order from
yes,
the
Your Honor.
office.
23, 2025, addressed to the Vice Mayor and the Sangguniang Bayan members of the, Your Honor, may I read this or?
Okay.
So, it says here, on January 14, 2025, the undersigned filed my notice of appeal with urgent 8-16th SV, series of 2025, by the Sangguniang Panalawigan of Sultan, Kudarat, and Administrative Order Number 44, which effectively placed the undersigned under suspension. It is publicly known that the administrative order is also being contested by the undersigned as void for being premature, considering that when the same was issued to due process. On January 17, 2025, the aforementioned office issued an order which among others directed the stay of the execution of the assailed resolution and administratively abandoned. The order by the Office of the President settles the question on who is the rightful mayor of ISULAN, Sultan Kudarat, who shall perform the duties and functions of the office. Anent thereto, let me reiterate my position that I am the sole and rightful mayor of the municipality of ISULAN. Consequently, all acts, orders, directives, or issuances with regard to the office of the municipal mayor shall come only from me or by my authority alone. All other acts, issuances, directives, or orders in relation to this office to only follow issuances, orders, and directives issued by me or by my authority to do otherwise is a blatant disregard of the authority vested solely in me and Honorable Marites K. Palyasigi, Municipal Mayor.
The date of the letter is?
January 23, 2025, Your Honor.
Okay. And that is in line with the receipt of the stay order.
Yes,
The
Your Honor.
stay order, did we receive the stay order, the Sangguniang Bayan?
January 17, I think.
No, that's the date. But
Yes, Your Honor.
as to when the Sangguniang Bayan received the same?
For a while, Your Honor.
Okay. Still for our information.
Next is
January 23. Okay.
okay, we are now on item number 5, Your Honor, of the first reading. Memorandum dated January 23, 2025 to all municipal officials, department heads, for their employees, Your Honor. Then, item number 7, letter received from the Office of the Municipal Mayor, dated January 24, 2025, addressed to Honorable. So, it says here, Your Honor, so greetings, I am writing to request you to formally turn over the office equipment, particularly the newly purchased laptop and desktop owned by the Office of the Mayor, an accurate inventory and ensure the efficient operation of our services. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you. Sincerely signed, Honorable Marites K. Palyasigi, Municipal Mayor.
Okay.
Budget for calendar year 2025 of Barangay New Calawag 2. Development or ECCD by the Daycare Resolution number 2-2025 of Barangay Lagilayan. 13.
Games.
Then another resolution, Lagilayan, Your Honor. The
Committee on Finance.
then item number 12 is the proposed measure by Honorable Moises Dolar, lot, which is 10 meters by 20 meters for the ISULAN Muslim Cemetery, and another for the mosque, Purok Gymnasium, this municipality, Your Honor. Read out to the committee reports.
Okay.
First committee to report is
Secretary of the
Subject Committee on Games and Amusements Committee Report number 20, and the same no longer requires to conduct 3 days cockfighting on January 31, 2025 and February 7 and 14, 2025 at Barangay Mapantig, ISULAN, Sultan, Kudarat. Findings. The aforesaid resolution was received and stamped by the SB Secretariat on January 15, 2025. The scheduled dates of cockfighting activities will be on January 31, 2025, February 7, and February 14, 2025. The holding of cockfighting activity is in line with the forthcoming 30th foundation anniversary of solely used for the improvement of the Purok. For barangay cockfighting, otherwise known as the Cockfighting Code of the Municipality of Isulan, which provides the cockfighting in the barangays. Number 1, there shall be no cockfighting activities in all barangays of this municipality except during the occasions of the celebration of barangay fiestas. The barangay concerned shall only be allowed to hold cockfighting activities for 3 sessions, and that is during the following 1, 2 days before Vespers or Bisperas, and 2, the occasion of local fiestas. The concerned barangay government shall be responsible for the maintenance of peace and order and the safety of public during the holding of the above-mentioned activities in their locality. From the time such request is received and stamped by the Office of the Secretary to the Sangguniang Bayan, failure to comply with this provision shall result in the disapproval of such request. The Committee on Games and Amusement found out that the above schedule of cockfighting activities have substantially complied with the provisions of the Cockfighting Code of the Municipality. Recommendation, based on the foregoing 31, 2025 and February 7 and 14, 2025 at Barangay Committee on, respectfully submitted by the Committee on Games and Amusements, Chairman Maria Jenaline N. Mejia, Vice Chairperson Honorable Darlene H. Lama, and Secretary yours truly. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so any comment?
Mr. Chair, I move for the adoption of the Committee on Games and Amusement Committee Report number 2025-01.
Okay, so the committee report of the Committee on Games and Amusement, number 2025-01 is hereby adopted and the measure be calendared for second reading this session.
Next committee to report is the Committee on Environmental Protection and Preservation.
This is a committee report on the Committee on Environmental Protection and Preservation, Committee Report number 2025-1. Pursuant to the referred matter to this committee, a public hearing this committee. Item, proposed ordinance banning the hunting, wounding, taking possession, transporting, selling and buying of all kinds of wild birds within the territorial of the municipality of Isulan. Ordinance to the attending public in order to obtain reactions, suggestions, and/or recommendations. The title of the referral is Proposed Ordinance Banning the Hunting, Wounding, Taking Possession, an ordinance providing for the conservation and protection of wildlife resources and their habitats in the municipality of Isulan, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. The ordinance shall be known as the Wildlife Resources and Their Habitats Conservation Ordinance of the Municipality of Isulan. This ordinance shall have the following objectives. 1, to conserve and protect all wildlife resources and their habitats, as well as endangered species, to promote ecological balance and enhance biological diversity. B, to regulate the collection and trade of these wildlife resources and endangered species of flora and fauna. C, to pursue with due regard to the country's interest and commitment to the international conventions, protection of wildlife, endangered species of flora and fauna and their habitats. And lastly, to initiate or support scientific duties on the conservation of biological diversity of wildlife resources, endangered species of flora and fauna and their habitats. As per ordinance, the prohibited acts, unless otherwise allowed in accordance with the existing national laws, decrees, rules, and regulations pertaining to these wildlife resources, endangered species, and their habitats, it shall be unlawful for any person to willfully and knowingly exploit the same and their habitats or undertake the following actions. A, killing and destroying wildlife resources, endangered species, and their habitats, except in the following instances. 1, when any of these wildlife resources, endangered species is afflicted with an incurable communicable disease. 2, when it is deemed necessary to put an end to the miseries suffered by the wildlife. 3, when it is done to prevent an imminent danger to the life or limb of a human being. And 4, when the wildlife or an endangered species is killed or destroyed after it has been used in authorized research or experiments. B, inflicting injury with cripples and or impairs the migratory and wild bird species. C, affecting any of the following acts in critical habitats. 1, dumping of waste products detrimental to migratory and wild birds. 2, destroying active nests, nest trees, host plants, and like of migratory and wild birds from the concerned authorities. E, collecting, hunting, or possessing migratory. In the formulation of the implementing rules and regulations, the MENRO shall formulate the issue the appropriate rules and regulations necessary for the efficient and effective similar ordinance in their respective barangay. Recommendation: wherefore the premises considered, this committee hereby recommends to pass and enact an ordinance providing for the conservation and protection of wildlife resources and their habitats in the municipality of Isulan, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. That further, this proposed measure be deliberated in the second reading this session. Respectfully submitted by the Committee on Environmental Protection and Preservation, yours truly, Chairperson, Vice Chairperson, Honorable Ryan M. Dumaran, and
There being none, Honorable Arjen.
Mr. Chair, I move for the adoption of my committee report number 2025-1.
Okay, so the committee report of the committee be calendared for second reading this session. Okay. So next, Marvin Dalanon. Marvin Dalanon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Pursuant to the referred matter to this committee, public hearing was conducted on January 20, 2025. On January 20, 2025 at 2:35 in the afternoon, held in the Sangguniang Bayan Session Hall, SULAN, Sultan, KUDARAT. Item, proposed ordinance amending certain provision of Municipal Ordinance Number 2023-294 ISB entitled an ordinance institutionalizing a minimum of 4% of the annual budget intended for the agricultural infrastructure development of the municipality of ISULAN. Findings and discussions. The proposed amendment of the certain provision of the Municipal Ordinance Number 2023-294 ISB will give way to an efficient and effective implementation of the said ordinance to ensure that the agriculture sector must get its fair share of public funding. In the first quarter, the 2 million funding will be distributed in a condition to clearly specify the purpose of 1,250 per hectare. After due discussions ensued, it was agreed that the following provisions of the Municipal Ordinance Number 2023-294, otherwise known as the Agricultural Infrastructure Development Ordinance, shall be amended and the particulars as follows. Implementation of the programs, project, and activities which will include the silting, maintenance of service roads, fuel, oil, labor ton, and during cut-off of water distribution in coordination with the NIA and the Irrigators Association. Identifying and determining the programs, projects, and activities, or PPAs. Identification of the PPAs shall be in coordination with the Irrigators Association duly accredited by National Irrigation shall be prioritized before per hectare in the form of cash incentive inlay of the crop dues of the farmer member the start of the quarter to be given to the Irrigators Association in the form of financial aid or cash incentive in accordance with expenses on meetings, trainings, and capacity building of farmer members, and PS, the cash incentive and maintenance expenses for the agricultural infrastructure of not more than 60% of the cash incentive. Agricultural infrastructure will include but not limited to access roads, secondary and tertiary irrigation canal, farm ditches, structures, offices in the LGU to ensure the allocation of minimum of 4% in the annual budget intended for agriculture infrastructure development to be done during the second session of the Sangguniang Bayan every quarter. The pertinent provisions of the revised rules on administrative cases in the civil service or RAACS. Irrigators Association who will not comply any provisions of this ordinance. Finally, the full text and new version of the ordinance as amended will be presented later for deliberation. Recommendation. Wherefore, premises considered, the committee hereby recommends passing an ordinance amending certain provisions of Municipal Ordinance Number 2023-294 ISB. That further, the said measure be deliberated on second reading. The and Secretary Honorable Moises L. Dolar. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any question on the report?
Move for the adoption and approval of our committee.
2025-01 of the Committee on Agriculture and Cooperatives is adopted and the measure be calendared for second reading this session.
So there are no more committee reports, Your Honor. We'll proceed now to the calendar of business under second reading.
Okay, please proceed.
So first is based on the committee report of the Committee on Games and Amusements.
Okay, Honorable
Of the committee report of the Committee on Games and Amusement, Committee Report number 2025-01.
Okay. So the resolution authorizing the municipal mayor to grant permit to Barangay Mapantig to conduct 3 days cockfighting on January 31, February 7, and 14 is hereby approved.
Next is the proposed measure based on the committee report of the Committee on Environmental Protection and Preservation.
Okay, so the chairman is recognized. Screen the draft ordinance.
An ordinance providing for the conservation and protection of wildlife resources and their habitats in the municipality of ISULAN, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. Section 1, title, the ordinance shall be known as the Wildlife Resources and Their Habitats Conservation Ordinance of the municipality of ISULAN. Section 2, declaration of policy. It shall be the policy of this municipality conserve the wildlife resources and their habitats, as well as endangered species. This ordinance shall have the following objectives. A. To conserve and protect all wildlife resources and their habitats, as well as endangered species, to promote ecological balance and enhance biology, commitment to international conventions, protection of wildlife, endangered species of flora and fauna and their habitats. And D. To initiate or support scientific studies on the conservation of biological diversity of wildland shall be enforceable with the territorial jurisdiction of this municipality. Section 4, definition of terms. For purposes of this ordinance, the following terms shall mean: A. Endangered species refers to species or subspecies that is not critically endangered but whose survival in the wild is likely if the causal factors continue operating as determined identified by the DENR. B. Wildlife refers to undomesticated animals and uncultivated plant species which can exist in their natural habitat but has come to include all organisms that grow or live within an area. E. Conservation refers to preservation and sustainable utilization of wildlife, endangered species, and or maintenance, restoration, and enhance of their habitats. D. Unless otherwise allowed in accordance with the existing national laws, decrees, rules, and regulations pertaining to these wildlife resources, endangered species, and their habitats, it shall be unlawful for any person to willfully and knowingly exploit the same and their habitats or undertake the following acts. A. Killing and destroying wildlife resources, endangered species, and their habitats, except in the following instances: when any of these wildlife resources and endangered species is afflicted with an incurable communicable disease, when it is deemed necessary to put an end to the misery suffered by the wildlife, when it is done to prevent an imminent danger to the life or limb of a human being, and when the wildlife or endangered species is killed or destroyed after it has been used in authorized research or experiments. B. Inflicting injury with cripples and or impairs the migratory and wild bird species. C. Effecting any of the following acts in critical habitat or habitats: dumping of waste products detrimental to migratory and wild birds, destroying active nests, nest trees, host plants, and the like of migratory and wild birds, burning, squatting, or otherwise occupying any portion of their critical habitat. D. Trading, transporting, and buying of migratory and wild bird without valid permit from the concerned authorities. E. Collecting, hunting, or possessing migratory and wild bird species, their byproducts and derivatives without valid permit from concerned authorities. Section 6, Republic Act Number 9147, or permanent and applicable provisions of the Republic Act Number 9147, otherwise known as Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act or an act providing for the conservation and protection of wildlife resources and their habitats, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes are hereby adopted and incorporated according in this ordinance. Section 7, penalty. Any person or group of persons who violates any provision of this ordinance shall be fined in the amount of 2,500 pesos or imprisonment of not more than 3 months or both at the discretion of the court without prejudice to the filing of appropriate cases pursuant to Republic Act Number 9147, otherwise known as Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act. Section 8, formulation of implementing rules and regulations and all provisions of this ordinance. Section 9, deputization of barangays. The 17 barangays are hereby deputized to implement this ordinance or enact similar ordinance in the respective barangay. Section 10, separability clause. Unconstitutional, the validity of the other provisions shall not be affected thereby. Section 11, repealing clause. Any existing ordinance or any upon the completion of 2 consecutive weeks of publication in the newspaper of general circulation. That's all, Mr. Chair. Ay, sige. Inflicting injury. Wild birds lang. Wildlife species siya, Ma'am Rock.
Ano?
Hello. Good morning, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask our chairman, because I've been really wondering ba, I know all of you have noticed yung mga barn swallows in congregating in the population of Coronadal City. They are not endangered species, but they are protected under the law because they are migratory birds. Apparently, they cannot be depopulated. So, hindi sila pwede patyun. Are there provisions in the ordinance or any law? We realize that ning area naton diri is a good place, is a good habitat because there are lots of insects and there are no predators. Yun yung sa research nila. So, what if the barn swallows from Sampao, dira daw sa border, siguro dira sa
creek, ay yung sa
So what
sa
sa bird sanctuary. What if they will flock here, maging mag-flock sila sa poblasyon Isulan. Tapos imagine mong poblasyon Isulan at 4, 5 tapos damo na tae like in Coronadal City. They cannot do anything about it because these are protected species. Hindi man sila endangered but protected. Is there any provision in an ordinance that will allow us to depopulate them in case it will happen?
Actually, Honorable Garingo, the ordinance not only pertains to our endangered species, but also with our migratory birds. Kasi we have the same situation, same din dyan sa may city, sa Tacorong, dyan sa bird sanctuary nila na minsan pumupunta sa area natin. So, that is why our ordinance is not only for the endangered species, but also for the migratory wildlife na they are not allowed na para i-hunt sila or guluhin sila.
Ma'am Arjen, in case na mag-flock ang mga migratory birds, kunwari in our population, like what's happening in Coronadal City, we do not have like a legal...
Siguro, Honorable Blight, not through this ordinance, pero ano na siguro, mga national law or from to be addressed by the DNR.
Hindi pwede. Baka maano tayo, attorney. Oo. Not,
Okay. So, Engineer Lamita is here. Our Menro. Si may...
Sa Marvel, yun nga. Pag 5 p.m. naman marami din sa may mga
yung sa
cable,
wires
mga
na
wires.
sila, upo na sila.
Sige. We...
Tapos ang taong nga sa mga kakalido.
At saka sa mga passing ng mga tao and sasakyan.
Ano po sasakitin ba sa parang
Sa nila, no, yung pupo nila. Baka cause yun siya ng health hazard.
ano pa sa brain gani ang tawag sa nerve
Question?
Maya,
Our secretariat will just make the proper editing.
here.
Yes, Honorable Apiado.
Can we go to the portion of prohibited acts of this
Okay.
ordinance? There are exemptions under this ordinance.
Okay.
Can we include the statement of Honorable Garingo in this portion, subparagraph I of paragraph A, subparagraph A1?
A1.
When any of these wildlife resources and endangered species is afflicted with an incurable communicable disease, or will include yung mga statement sa may exemption man kasi sa ordinance, cause harm to
Siguro ma-under na din siya dyan sa incurable communicable disease. Oo.
human being, di naman dati.
I-sure tanay ba si may violate ka nga national law? Halimbawa, para sa kumatabo ng sa Marvel, kay damo siya ko pang tipunon mo to karon kagay pang
Hinahayaan lang
pamatyon mo to karon, diba? Si kung though the act itself nga i-ano mo sila, do medyo di siya good sa nature.
Yun.
Oo. Possibly, there are some other remedies than to end the life of the,
Of the species.
May provision.
dito nga mga
Siguro
birds.
sa health sang tao, which is ara man siya gihapon sa prohibited acts ta. Ang sa health attorney, no, kay ang ilang
Okay?
para makaano siya sa life ng human. Oo. And pag galing sila experiment, ganyan.
Okay? There are no other comments. Honorable Arjen Palasige.
Mr. Chair, I move for the passing of the ordinance providing for the conservation and protection of wildlife resources and their habitats in the municipality of ISULAN, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, and be calendared for third reading in today's session.
Okay, so the municipal ordinance providing for the conservation and protection of wildlife resources and their habitats in the municipality of Isulan, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes is hereby approved on second reading.
Mr. Chair, just a point of clarification. The title of the ordinance includes the appropriation of funds for the purpose. I just want to ask if part of the ordinance is includes the funding.
Was there a provision for the funding, Honorable Argent? Sige, section.
Here, can we include a portion putting the funding for the said ordinance to be effective and to strengthen the ordinance, its implementation?
Okay, so the funding requirement, no? The section providing for the funds shall be included. Okay. So, are we scheduling this for third reading, Honorable Arjan? This session?
Yes,
This session,
Mr. Chair.
okay. Okay na, Max? Okay, let's proceed, Madam Sec. Next item, second reading.
So next, Your Honor, on second reading is the proposed measure based on the committee report of the Committee on Agriculture.
Okay, Honorable Marvin Dalanan, the chairman is recognized.
I move for the passing of an ordinance amending certain provisions of Municipal Ordinance Number 2023-294 ISB, institutionalizing a minimum of 4% of the annual budget intended for the agricultural infrastructure development of the municipality of ISULAN.
The proposed ordinance.
Mr. Chair, I may read. Whereas municipality of Isulan was enacted aimed at promoting the well-being of the farmers to ensure an environment in which they can increase their income, improve their living conditions, in food security, and ensure that local food production can keep up with the population growth. Whereas, with the passage of Republic Act 10969, otherwise known as Free Irrigation Service Act, or an act providing free irrigation service, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 3601 as amended, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, irrigators association are no longer allowed to collect crop juice from the farmers. Whereas RA 10969 provides that all farmers with land holdings of 8 hectares and below are hereby exempted from paying irrigation service fees for water derived from National Irrigation Systems or NIS and Communal Irrigation Systems CIS that were or are to be funded, constructed, maintained, and administered by the National Irrigation Administration and other government agencies, including those that have been turned over to irrigators associations. Whereas the passage of RA 10969, this irrigators association could no longer collect irrigation service fee, and as consequence thereof, they may no longer realize their visions as self-reliant farmers organization committed to uplift the quality of life of the irrigation farmers and their families, coupled with their mission to achieve a sustainable irrigation operation, develop a coordinated support of all government institutions and non-government organizations toward the attainment of maximum food production, and to represent the interest of the irrigation farmers and work with policy-making bodies for their support to attain agricultural development. Whereas, in support of the Irrigators Association who can no longer collect irrigation, that the following provision of the Municipal Ordinance Number 2023-294, otherwise known as the Agricultural Infrastructure Development Ordinance, shall be amended as follows. Cent Development Fund can be considered as part of this allocation if it is located in the agriculture area of the municipality, which will include construction of farm-to-market roads, drainage canal, irrigation canal, small water impounding facility, and post-harvest facilities. Section 5 is hereby amended to read. Section 4, implementation. Implemented during the first quarter and third quarter or upon water delivery closure to be accomplished before the start of the planting season and during cut-off of water distribution in coordination with the NIA and Irrigators Association. Section 6 of the ordinance is hereby amended to read. Section 5, identifying and determining the programs, projects, and activities. Identification of PPAs shall be in coordination with the Irrigators Association, duly accredited by the Sangguniang Bayan and the National Irrigation Administration. Section 7 of the ordinance shall be amended to read. Section 6, operation and maintenance expenses. Operation and maintenance expenses shall be prioritized before additional allocation and shall be prorated to all identified irrigators association of the NIA and the Department of Agriculture per service area but not less than 1,250 per hectare in the form of cash incentive to the irrigators association in the form of financial aid or cash incentive in accordance with the accounting and auditing rules of the local government. Operation expenses shall include expenses on for the agriculture infrastructure of not more than 60% of the cash incentive. Agriculture farm ditches, structures and terminal facilities, and steel gates. Section 8 of the ordinance shall be amended to read. Section 7, reporting the Office of the Municipal Agriculturist shall be renamed from Support to Farmers to Financial Aid to Irrigators Association in lay of the irrigation crop dues and shall be expounded in detail during budget deliberation and for the effective and efficient provision for non-compliance of the ordinance to read. Section 10, penal provisions. Non-compliance of this ordinance by public official or employee shall be dealt with accordingly, subject to the pertinent provisions of the revised rules or on administrative cases in civil service or RAACs. Irrigators Association who will not comply any provisions of this ordinance shall not be eligible for any cash incentive as provided in this ordinance. Final provisions shall likewise follow the chronological order in the ordinance. Full text and new version of the amended ordinance. The full text and new version of the ordinance as amended is made an integral part of this ordinance. Section 3, repealing clause, any and all provisions, ordinances, administrative orders, rules, and regulations, or part thereof, that is inconsistent with this ordinance are hereby repealed or modified accordingly. Separability clause, if any or provisions of this shall be held unconstitutional or invalid, the other parts of the provision hereof which are not affected thereby shall continue to be in full force and effect. Effectivity clause. This ordinance shall take effect upon approval and compliance with the mandatory posting and publication requirement prescribed under RA 7160, otherwise known as Local Government Code of 1991. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any question from the other members? Honorable Cantuano.
Mr. Chair, may we ask the proponent as to what is the actual legal basis for pegging the minimum in the rate of 4% rather?
4%.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We estimated the 4% of the budget as our GAD fund is also 5%, and because
during the deliberation of this particular ordinance, I'm sure the municipal agriculturist was invited. Did he ever have any comments on whether the municipal government has allocated at least 4% or that the allocation is less?
2 million for supplemental, but it is only for the crop due or inlay of the crop due, but it is allocated for cash for work. And for 2025, we have allocated 2 million, and our see the additional allocation, we can get or add for the 4%, at least 10% of the 20% development fund. And if it is located in agriculture area of the municipality, we can add it in the 4% to...
Engineer, it's 4% of the 20%?
No, the annual budget.
Of the annual budget.
But we can attribute it from other sources.
Okay. Engineer was asking earlier if what is the basis of the committee in suggesting
4%.
the enactment of this ordinance, because in our study of constitutional law, we are not irrigators,
God is also favoring
but
women.
it is provide government.
No,
So for in my own,
So, the ordinance will favor the irrigators as a particular class.
as a particular class, like be giving them more benefits than the other sectors. Para siyang ganon.
if we see the
And
fourth,
I have not, other than national laws and rules and regulations, I am not sure we can, that the Sangguniang Bayan can enact an ordinance that will delimit, for example, like the restrictions in the GAD. They're found under the GAA. Everything there, like the utilization of the 20%, it is being monitored, or the policies of that is made by the DILG. So we usually follow these rules and guidelines because they are imposed by the national government, but we legislating a valid ordinance that does not violated precepts and policies that are enshrined in our constitution, like for instance, prohibition against class legislation. Parang we cannot favor a sector ba?
no, we have our 18969 favoring the Irrigators Association and the irrigation farmers.
Ang class legislation po parang is unconstitutional. To give a certain sector favor, it is arbitrary and capricious. So if it's my own understanding, if this will be challenged for its constitutionality, it
I
will
think
really lose.
I
If
think
we challenge its validity, it will
our
really lose.
18969
Okay.
is
Let's take it point by point, Attorney Honorable Cartohan. No? First, whether we can legislate without a national law ordering us to do so. We are, as long as we don't violate national laws, we are not anong term ta kung gina-review ang ordinance ta? We are not inconsistent. We are our objective of the ordinance is to free the farmers, all farmers, of paying irrigation dues, or they call it crop dues. So, but crop dues are managed by Irrigators Association. That's why in addressing the concern of how to grant farmers free irrigation,
I just wanted to ask, since this is an amended ordinance, we already approved the previous ordinance allocating 4% of the total budget intended for this purpose. I just wanted to ask Mr. Chair, if what are the amended versions of the ordinance, of the present ordinance?
okay.
Can we highlight what are the amended versions, introductions? Ning highlight, naka-italics amo ni.
Section, ay, full text, new version naman. Sige, pasaka pa. Are, ay. Section 4, are. Letter B, Section 5, sir, to read.
2 na deleted. Okay? The section 2 is definition of terms, na-delete siya. And then, section Rom, pwede pa ibaba. Additional allocation, before, hindi siya na expound mabuti, but now ang other deleted item na transfer siya section 3, and then the section 5 is about the implementation, but actually there is no special provision for the IA talaga, but for the farmers. Kasi kinuha yung bayad ng mga farmers para maging true free irrigation. And the 4% of the total is not also for the Irrigators Association. It is only an attribution so that there is more projects in the countryside or in the agriculture area.
Yes, Honorable.
Intended for the Irrigators Association. We all know that under the local government code, no public money shall be allocated for the private sector. And clearly, the Irrigators Association, Mr. Chair, is a private sector. Not only are we making a class legislation, we are also violating the local government code. It's specific kasi eh. It's not just like intended for agriculture, but it's really intended for a particular sector, which is irrigator. I believe that it is really constitutionally flawed. Although I also support the legislative intent, it's actually very noble and will really benefit our farmers. But only if we make it compliant with the requirements of the Constitution and the national government.
Sige be. Madam Sec, pakibutang biyang section about irrigators. Tanawon ta.
May we ask the proponent if this particular ordinance had been replicated from a good practice of another local government unit?
This ordinance is replicated from the NIA itself because they are also giving incentive to the IA.
Okay.
This is a meeting, members of the office, personnel, which not exceed 40%. And we can ask
Okay. Honorable Garingo.
I do not have any complaint about the intention of the ordinance. Ang ganda talaga siya because it's really intended to strengthen our agricultural sector. What I'm worried about are the legal impediments of this chair. I may also be wrong. Why not we lay this, may I suggest to the proponent to lay this matter on the table and inquire further with the DBM, with the regional director of the Department of Budget and Management on whether or not this is allowed, because they will ultimately have a final say on the matter. Kasi if the proposal
Honorable Garingo. Then we'll hear from the proponent if he will pursue this ordinance. Okay? So, if there are no other discussion on the if there are no other discussion, then we will decide on this matter.
Claro, Abidra.
So, any other comment aside from the that this is a class legislation favoring IAs? Any other comment? I think we have done enough discussion on that point. If there is none, then we will decide on this ordinance. Okay? So, Madam Secretary, there is an objection, so let's vote or let's divide the House to determine the whether we can approve this ordinance or not.
Ano, favor?
Favor, ah? Favor. Were you able to count it, Madam Secretary?
So there are 3 members of a board for the approval of the ordinance, Your Honor, in the subject ordinance, Your Honor.
Okay, so those who are not in favor of this ordinance.
Also, there are 3 members, so object to the approval of the subject ordinance, Your Honor.
Okay, so there being a tie, the chair has to break the tie. So the chair votes in favor of the ordinance. Okay, Honorable Dalanon, shall we proceed with the third reading, or shall we proceed with the third reading next session? Up to this on third reading. Are we going to approve this in this session or next
Yes,
session?
Mr. Chair. But
Okay.
we still have the ordinance itself, the amended ordinance. We still need to see this or no?
Meaning
The amended ordinance itself.
the amended ordinance, is that what is flashing the screen?
Hindi, may ano pa.
Mr. Chair.
May full ordinance.
Approve the original ordinance, di ba?
No.
So what we are approving now is only the amendment.
Amendments. only. Okay, Mr. Chair. I move for the
This is scheduled for third reading this session. Sige.
So, Your Honor, we have no more items on second reading, Your Honor. We'll proceed now to the third and final reading. So, first is the proposed, on final reading, the proposed measure, which is an ordinance, liog ko ba itong sa kay environment, sa wildlife resources. So this is an ordinance providing for the conservation and protection of wildlife resources and their habitats in the municipality of ISULAN, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes.
Okay. Honorable Arjen Palyasige.
Endangered species pagali iduludugang ang dari.
Yes, Mr. Chair, for the third and final reading, I move for the passing of the ordinance providing for the conservation and protection of wildlife resources, endangered species, and their habitats in the municipality of ISULAN, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes.
Okay, so there being no objection, the ordinance providing for the conservation and protection of wildlife resources, endangered species, and other habitats in the municipality of ISULAN, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, is hereby approved.
So next, on the third and final reading, the proposed ordinance amending. Hindi man ni amon.
Honorable Dalanon, can we have the approval on third reading next session?
Hindi ba ni amon?
Okay, so the approval on third reading of this of the ordinance amending municipal ordinance number 2023-294 is deferred for next session. Okay. Okay.
So, Your Honor, we have already exhausted the items in the order of business. We'll proceed now to the unassigned business, Your
Okay.
Honor.
So as requested, Engineer Lamita is here. Although nag-sirena 12 o'clock. Quickly, will you restate your question, Honorable Apiado?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is with regard to our clarification a while ago during the privilege hour as regard the unavailability of fuel of our garbage trucks, Mr. Chair, that caused the disruption of the collection of our waste, particularly in the public markets, in the public market and in the barangays.
Okay.
The lack of fuel, Mr. Chair, the delay of the collection of our waste in the public market, in the municipality, and it needs to be addressed immediately. And
Kaway kahakot, kay YP Will, anong natabo?
Hello, good afternoon na pa. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Honorable Vice Mayor Attorney Arnold H. Samada, and members. So, last year, so nagkakaroon tayo ng mga backlogging ng mga hindi nakulikta na basura sa barangay and din sa palengke and then yung at saka sa establishment because of lack of fuel. Kasi hindi na tayo nakakuha doon sa Petron, kaya hanggang ngayon problema pa rin yung backlog namin na basura.
on the record man. On record man. Okay na lang.
Okay. But so far, engineer, okay na?
Supplier.
Sa supplier, by test kasi siya parang siya yung nag-finance ng fuel para at least tuloy-tuloy yung paghakot ng basura. And then yung sa inyo pa rin sir, yung last week, kaunti na lang yung backlog namin para sa basura.
Kasi nga hindi naghatag pa si suppliers ang fuel. Naging finance ang fuel.
Yes.
Doon malangguan niya. So,
Doon
hindi
pa-
naman ma-sustain na kung pila ka bulan siya nga i-sustain personally siya i-finance. What are our, do you have any alternative solutions?
Yung pamangkot ngayon hindi ko masabat sir ba? Yes. Kasi kung isipon mo, off record na lang.
Off the record, please. else you'd like to suggest? Our budget officer, Honorable Dumaran.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I think there is another concern by Honorable Palyasigi a while ago. No, from the supply. Hindi nga wala kita sang issue sang pan, sang fuel sa even sa aton. Amo to siya. Okay.
The presiding officer was Honorable Carlo Apiado. And we are very grateful, mga SB members, at least magka-points na tayo for our legislative award. Yung questioning, kasi biglang pumasok any of the SB members, na bigla lang silang pumasok doon, nandoon sila, and ganyan. And I went to Ma'am Raquel to clarify things. Kasi, visitors, ganon. So, ang sabi, Vice Mayor, okay, ganon, kung yun ang ano niya. And